Now you know how the league is structured and organised, you need to know how the league actually operates in the real world. Specifically during the 1920s, the first 10 years of the League of Nations actually existing. We get to see whether it was a successful organisation that stopped war and caused people to talk more and saved lives, or an organisation that fails, one that lets war happen and can't really do anything about it because it's too slow. So I'm going to go through a couple of examples and leave you the question, was the league successful or failing here? So the first one is in 1920. It's called Vilna, and basically it's due to the Treaty of Versailles, or treaties like it. There were new cities and countries being created as a way to stabilise Europe, and part of this was Lithuania and Poland. They are in the northeast of Europe, and basically they both were created during this time. The capital of Lithuania was decided to be the city of Vilna, nowadays called Vilnius, but the thing is, most of the people who lived in Vilna wanted to be Polish. The treaties hadn't really worked out the way that they wanted, and they wanted to be in Poland. So the Polish army, hearing these cries, moved their army into the country of Lithuania and took over the city of Vilna. Now, the League of Nations was only just been created, it had barely even started, and this happened outside of their meeting time. So the League took months to even do anything, and the unanimous votes meant nothing happened. Is this a success or a failure for the League of Nations? Another one I'm going to bring up and talk to you about is the Åland Islands. Actually, I've got a map in the middle bottom there. This is a set of islands in the northern seas of Europe. I'm not sure exactly what this sea is called, but the Åland Islands sit between both Sweden on the left-hand side and Finland on the right-hand side. Now, Sweden and Finland had been arguing over who owned the islands for years and years and years. I mean, I'm not kidding. Sweden would send its soldiers and take over the Åland Islands, and then when Sweden left to go home again, Finland would move over and take over, and it was like a constant grabbing of these islands, hundreds of years. Well, they went to the League of Nations, they spoke their cases and argued their points, and the League of Nations had discussions and decided, through its international law case, to give the islands to Finland, the one on the right-hand side. They said, Finland, you're allowed to control the islands. However, to keep Sweden happy, you are not allowed to put military bases on the island. So even though you get them, you can't use them against Sweden. So, do you think that is a success or a failure for the League of Nations? There's a few other examples of successes and failures that I might go through with you here. Bulgaria being a good example of a good crisis in 1925. You can see a map of it next to my head. But essentially, Greek soldiers were spotted on the edge of Bulgaria. As in, if you put soldiers on the edge of the borderline of countries, it could be to defend yourself, or it could be to attack. And this put the people of Bulgaria at, shall we say, worry. They were quite scared that Greece was attempting to invade them. So they went to the League of Nations and said, look, Greek soldiers are appearing on our borders. Can something be done about that? And the League instituted moral condemnation of Greece, and economic sanctions became possible. They were going to take money away from Greece. And Greece said, okay, fine, and removed their soldiers away from the border. Is that a success or is that a failure from the League of Nations? Now, I've only told you about 3 different cases. There's loads of cases. I think there's like 5 or 6 in the actual total. So if you know what happened in Vilna, you're good. If you know what happened in Upper Silesia, happened in the Åland Islands, Corfu, Bulgaria, the Wall Street crash, if you know what those things are, and you know how the League of Nations dealt with them, and if you can tell me whether they're successes or failures, then you know how the League did in the 1920s. And that means your revision for this section is done. So find the textbook pages and you'll be able to find this information. All right, good luck. See you later.